What's up everyone and welcome back to the MMA Zone. Up next, Joe Rogan breaks silence on Michael Venom Page. Not everyone was buzzed by Michael Venom Page's UFC debut last month, and some fans have taken verbal pokes at the karate stylist for his performance. But it seems clear that Joe Rogan isn't ready to claim Page's hype isn't warranted. As you likely recall, Page made his long-awaited Octagon debut against Kevin Holland at UFC 299. While the fight featured some memorable moments, it didn't end up being the striking clinic a lot of folks were hoping for. It also didn't see Page add another highlight reel finish to his resume. But MVP did win the fight via unanimous decision. Well, while talking about Page's performance with UFC veterans Matt Serra and Dean Thomas recently, Rogan reminded people that MVP wasn't facing a can.
First fight in UFC, he jumped into the deep end of the pool with a real dangerous guy who's got one punch knockout power from his.
I know.
Remember that when he knocked down Jorge from his back?
Hey, it's crazy. The first guy in there, whoever, Kevin Holland.
Yeah, it's a pretty fair point. While Holland isn't knocking on the title shot door in the UFC's welterweight division, he's hung in there against the best of the best and is no stranger to finishing fights. Now, let's take a look at Jon Jones altercation with UFC staff. Yes, Jon Jones is making headlines once again, and once again, it's not related to anything that Bones did in the Octagon. According to a report from ABQ Raw, Albuquerque police responded to a call from a drug tester working for Drug Free Sport International after an alleged altercation with Jones in March. Drug Free Sport International is the organization that's reportedly overseeing the UFC's drug testing program, now that the promotion kicked USADA to the sidelines. The report states that sources allege Bones appeared to be super intoxicated, and that he even allegedly threatened to kill the tester. In addition, sources claim the heavyweight champ grabbed the tester's phone at one juncture. Well, after news of the report broke, Jones issued a statement via social media. He also shared out camera footage from outside his home, which shows him high-fiving someone as they left the house. I want to address reports about me allegedly threatening a drug tester's life and taking a phone. I want to clarify that there's a video showing both drug testers leaving my home after the testing session, where we exchanged a high-five and a hug. Although I was frustrated with the unprofessionalism and used profanity out of frustration, it ended friendly and amicably, nothing threatening at all. I was actually celebrating a friend's birthday party at my home, and I believe it's perfectly normal to celebrate in the comfort of my own home. I must say, this particular tester behaved quite unprofessionally and even breached standard protocol along with HIPAA laws. Throughout my 20 years of being subjected to drug tests, I've never encountered of such an incident with a DCO officer before. So, what are the chances we're done hearing about this situation? 10%? Less? Alright, having reviewed that news, let's look at Justin Gaethje fires back at Jorge Masvidal. Now that Jorge Masvidal is coming out of retirement, he's let it be known that he has Justin Gaethje in his sights. So what does the current BMF champ think of Gamebred's call out? Well, it sounds like Gaethje isn't a fan. Following Masvidal's call to Gilbert Burns in April 2023, the Miami star announced he was hanging up the gloves, but in recent months, Masvidal started teasing he might scrap again, and more recently, it was announced he'll box Nate Diaz on June 1st. But before that bout was confirmed, Masvidal told Fansided that he hopes to throw hands with Gaethje, now that he's fighting again. After all, Masvidal was the first man to hoist the BMF belt.
Who knows, but I'll tell you what, in the future, Gaethje still has that title. I wouldn't mind snatching it right off his hands via taking his head off clean. It's nothing against Gaethje either, but I just think it'd be like a good fight for me to showcase my skills and beat that,
And what are Gaethje's thoughts about all this? While speaking with MMA Junkies Mike Vaughn, Gaethje got right to the point.
I'll definitely enjoy it more than Masvidal putting it on me. You know that. Yeah, he's a loser.
Could we see that fight at some point? Anything's possible. But with Masvidal pushing 40 and Gaethje eyeing another shot at the UFC's lightweight title, a lot of cards need to fall into place, and pretty fast. Further, would the fight go down at? Masvidal has not fought at lightweight in years. Would Gaethje move up to welterweight? Money talks, right? Okay, up next, Israel Adesanya goes off on Dricus du Plessis. The rivalry between Israel Adesanya and Dricus du Plessis continues to head in the Conor McGregor-Khabib Nurmagomedov direction, as the middleweights are still slinging verbal shots at each other in interviews and social media posts. Ever since du Plessis proclaimed that he truly represents Africa, since Adesanya lives in New Zealand, tensions between the two have reached new heights. More recently, du Plessis claimed via Instagram that Adesanya has refused to fight him in Africa and has only agreed to throwing down in Australia. Looks like someone wants another beating in Oz. I'm in. I also wouldn't want to fight the King of Africa on home soil. Manifestations working good for you again. The UFC is rumored to be heading back to Australia for a card in August. Last September at UFC 293, which took place down under, Adesanya lost the belt to Sean Strickland. But in a follow-up interview, Adesanya claimed that du Plessis has been the one ducking opportunities to fight him.
It would have been nice if all du Plessis would have been like, yeah, let's fight. Oh, not up. But again, he hurts. So he didn't want to fight. So it's all good. It's whatever. Hey, I got time today. I don't say much when I say I got time today. Also, you know what's stupid? I don't watch, I saw something, so he said something like, oh, I guess he didn't want to fight me, the king of Africa, in home soil. You didn't want to fight me on home soil. So shut the f up.
There you have it. Sure, we've all seen innumerable times in the past where fighters go to war verbally, before the fight, and then afterward, they're buddies. But it kind of seems like that won't be the case after these two scrap. Now, let's move to Cory Sandhagen versus Umar Nurmagomedov confirmed. Cory Sandhagen has yet to compete since he outscored Rob Font for a unanimous decision win last August. But it looks like that's about to change. While speaking with James Lynch recently, Sandhagen relayed the UFC was looking at him fighting Nurmagomedov, and that he was definitely on board with the idea.
The fight that I want and that they keep telling me is for a number one contender spot is Umar. So, that I'm here to be a champ. So if it means fighting down in the rankings and they're promising me a number one contender spot, then yeah, I have no beef with that.
Sandhagen also said that he wants the fight with Khabib's cousin to be a 5-rounder.
Yeah, that's what I asked for. I feel like I'm a 5-round fighter. I do better in 5-round fights.
Well, fast forward to today, and Yahoo Sports' Kevin Ayala reported that Umar's manager, Ali Abdelaziz, has confirmed the fight is good to go, but the date and location for the scrap has yet to be determined. So it'll be interesting to see when this fight takes place, but given how pivotal of a bout it is at bantamweight, you would assume and hope it's a 5-round fight. The victory over Font was Sandhagen's 3rd straight and moved him another step closer to a title shot. Umar, meanwhile, is coming off a decision victory over Bezkat Almakhan last month, which moved his record to 17-0. It was also his 5th straight UFC win. So it's pretty safe to assume that if Nurmagomedov beats the Sandman, he'll jump right into the title shot mix. Up next, Logan Paul fighting in the UFC soon. While Jake Paul is expected to fight under the MMA rule set at some point for the Professional Fighters League, his brother, Logan, is campaigning for a UFC fight. Logan, who like his brother became a big name via YouTube and has also boxed, is currently wrestling under the WWE banner. But while speaking to Triple H recently, Paul told the pro wrestling legend that he's up for a throwdown in the octagon.
I would do it. I would totally do it.
Yeah?
If for the right dance partner, yeah, I would love to do a UFC fight. And now that, you guys are partners, I think at the right time,
Sure,
it could make a lot of sense.
Now, if you're huffing an as if right now, you might want to reconsider. As Paul noted, the WWE and UFC have joint ownership and UFC boss man Dana White has worked with Paul in the past. Further, Logan fighting in the octagon would move a lot of tickets and pay-per-view buys, so if he's serious, look for it to happen. After all, just remember that the UFC brought in CM Punk for not 1 but 2 fights. Charles Oliveira goes off on Arman Tsarukyan ahead of their match at UFC 300. In a recent interview with MMA Fighting, Charles had some words to say to Arman. He said, "People say what they want, right? If I only have that, and I have 16 submissions on my UFC record, I guess they were all from the back, right? And I guess the knockouts I have weren't knockouts, they were submissions. It's too much bullshit they talk. It was said that I'm a quitter, but I was knocked down, walked forward, and knocked them out. I also heard I'm not hungry, that I don't want it anymore. He doesn't know how bad I want to become champion again. He's super tough, is on a good run, etc. But we're talking about guys at the top of the division. You have to chill before you say anything because you're not talking about anyone. I'm the number 1 in this division. I have the record for most submissions, most bonuses. If you look at my history, you'll see you're talking crap. I'm an aggressive man and I walk forward the entire time, so there's no such thing as walking backwards. Arman knows that. He said that. He said a bunch of But one thing he got right is that I go for the victory at all times, so that won't change. But if you look at my last fight against Beneil Dariush, you'll see how calm I was. I'm evolving, I'm growing inside the cage, and on the mat here, training and evolving." Top comments. Asking for 10 rounds when you're gassed in the first is crazy. Can we give Aspinall the real belt? I'd love to see him fight Gane. Hamzat couldn't even finish mediocre Burns, and old man knees Usman. Goofball. Aspinall would smoke Hill very easily. All Hill does is cry and whine. Hamzat wanting 10 rounds is a good idea. Then we could have 9 boring rounds instead of 4. Make sure to leave a comment and you might get featured in our next video. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications to never miss any MMA news. Check out our video from yesterday if you missed it. See you tomorrow.